There is a truth written not only in Scripture but in the very fabric of creation itself. We are not placed on this earth alone, but surrounded by living beings that remind us daily of the goodness, beauty, and tenderness of life. When we look into the eyes of an animal, whether it is the loyalty of a dog, the quiet strength of a horse, or the gentle innocence of a bird, we see a reflection of a love that is pure, unselfish, and enduring. Their lives are not measured by wealth or power, but by presence, faithfulness, and trust. To love animals is more than a feeling. It is a calling to live with compassion, to practice kindness without condition, and to honor the breath of life that flows through all creation. In a world so often burdened by cruelty, division, and neglect, the love we show to these innocent creatures becomes a testimony of our own humanity. For if we cannot care for those who depend upon us most, how can we expect to heal the deeper wounds of our world? When you love an animal, you learn patience, you discover humility, and you begin to understand the sacred rhythm of life that asks nothing but gives so much in return. Their presence softens hardened hearts, lifts heavy spirits, and reminds us that love is not always spoken in words, but lived in actions. And when you choose to love and protect them, you are choosing to align your life with something greater, something eternal, something that whispers of the true purpose for which we were created: to love without boundaries and to serve without fear. There is a language that needs no words, a language spoken through soft eyes, wagging tails, gentle purrs, and the silent trust of a creature that believes in you. Animals show us compassion not through speeches but through presence, through the way they forgive quickly, love fully, and live honestly. They remind us that kindness does not require translation and empathy is born in the smallest gestures. When we open our hearts to them, we begin to understand that true strength lies not in dominance but in care, not in power but in love, not in taking but in giving. There is a healing that flows from the touch of fur and the flutter of feathers, a silent medicine that no doctor can prescribe. Animals carry with them a pure energy that reaches into the broken places of our hearts and stitches them together with trust and love. When a dog rests its head on your lap or a bird sings to the rhythm of your morning, you are reminded that joy is found in presence, not possessions. Their bond teaches us that we are never truly alone and that love, in its simplest form, has the power to restore the soul-loving animals, awakens a fire inside us that begins with kindness and grows into courage, because to truly care for them is to stand up for those who cannot speak themselves. It teaches us to move beyond comfort and into action, to protect, to nurture, and to defend life in all its forms. Every act of love toward an animal builds empathy, and every moment of protection strengthens our spirit. Through them we discover that compassion is not weakness but power, and that courage is born when we choose love over indifference, care over neglect, and action over silence. To be human is to be entrusted with the care of those who cannot defend themselves, and animals are among the most vulnerable. They depend on us not only for shelter and food but for respect and dignity. When we step into the role of guardians, we carry the responsibility to protect their lives, their freedom, and their well-being. This is not a burden but a privilege, because in safeguarding them, we rise to the highest expression of our humanity. Our responsibility toward animals is a reflection of our character, proving that love is strongest when given without expectation. There is a love that speaks louder than words, a connection that flows from the soul when we open our hearts to animals. They do not need our language to understand us, for they feel our energy, our intentions, and our truth. Loving them becomes a spiritual gift, a reminder that life is not just about surviving, but about sharing, caring, and connecting with all living beings. In their presence we find peace, in their trust we find purpose, and in their unconditional love we find a glimpse of something divine that calls us to live with greater compassion. Loving animals teaches us that the purest form of love is selfless and unconditional. They remind us of who we truly are: compassionate, connected, and capable of kindness without limits. When we honor them, protect them, and love them, we become better humans and embrace the true meaning of life.